This first poem is entitled R&D. It's for the cashiers at a Italian import store I go to here in Mayfield Heights. The place is called Ferraro's. I've been going there since I was 16 years old. They have phenomenal sub sandwiches. I like the Italian hot peppers. R&D. No, not research and development, but that's funny. The first time I met R, I didn't think she liked me, and I think that's because she holds her cards closer to her chest than most. Over time, we've gotten to know each other better, and there's no one smile I would rather see when walking into this Italian grocery menagerie. D is so enticing because she's so nice, and though I hardly know her, I do believe she's exactly what she seems. You meet some people and immediately find yourself crushing. That's just the way life goes. When you're feeling peckish and hankering for some undeniably great comfort food. No place I'd rather be than Ferraro's, and that's because there's no one feeding you lies as you wait to be checked out by two goddesses in the extreme. R&D, break open any and all inhibitions that you may have about this or that virus, because you know you'll be taken care of, and that their expertise leaves no stone unturned or heart untended. I'm hungering for the truth, and know I'll never be turned away, as R&D offer me shelter from the storm, while I separate the hot from the cold and accept their offer for napkins. Over time, they've become like family, and it makes sense, because we're all in this together, and that goes double when you're in the business of making people's dreams come true. When I was living up on Lander, I lived with my father and his new wife, and I was just miserable. And really the only thing I looked forward to was going to Ferraro's and getting a sandwich. I still feel that way today. I really do. My dad used to say, you spend $3.50 on that sandwich? And I was like, yeah, I do. I just wrote this poem this evening, Cutting Through the Bone. So tired of people becoming offended because their delicate sensibilities have been trampled upon. You're a grown man, and yet you act like my calling you out has somehow rearranged your precious DNA. How about you grow a pair, and in the meantime, we'll both take a break at trying to change the other person's methodology. Just because you don't like something I did, why would you attack the person that I am, or call into question my entire working life as an artist? This has happened in the past, and I am tired of being called brother when you're treating me like more of a flea or a tick. When you're treating me more like a flea or tick. I don't need to be patronized by someone who hardly even knows me and listens to others to gather bad intel and then use it against me. Most of the people I work with, I've had a working and friendly relationship with for well over 20 years, and in some cases even longer. And those people know how I work, and that the product I produce is second to none. Too many poets can and will spoil the broth, because no one wants to learn anything about the other person and learn to take their bad qualities along with their good ones. The inhumanity we show towards one another is absolute bullshit, especially when you act like you're the teacher and I'm just an indolent student. So tired of riding up the mountain pass, only to discover another corpse, refusing to die, because they believe they have all the answers. I was attempting to pass a record on to you, and to be perfectly honest, I do think your response time could have been less erratic. How about you stop talking down to me and realize the answers that work for you may not work for me? Teeny weeny circle of trust for Cat. There is no mediocrity in you. That's what she said, and it shivered my timbers. Even the strongest tree needs to be reminded from time to time how truly beautiful they are. We stand around breathing in secondhand smoke, languishing in the fatalism of another unrivaled hero put down too early. Life comes at you, no matter how many times you scream for a timeout. Instant replays only prove that there are no coincidences, and a simple twist of fate is not just something we can ignore, especially when the blood on the tracks keeps you up at night praying to a porcelain god. Kat is the little red-haired girl I've been in love with since before vaccinations proved to be such a thorn in our sides. And I am the very same Charlie Brown who will always attempt kicking the football, no matter how many times I'm let down. It's sad to think, but Lucy in Peanuts is my sister. And I wish it wasn't true, but my sister has never been happy, and I believe that's because our mother drummed it into us that we didn't deserve anything good in our lives. I now must pour out all of these unwashed thoughts before it gets too late and the masquerade proves to be yet another unworn and unworthy condom. Kat's as guarded as my friend Jim, and I believe that's what draws me to her. That and her unquenched thirst for goodness and everyone and everything that crosses her highlands path. I desire to kiss her mouth, or at the very least witness the words escape from her hummingbird lips, as Kat embodies Joan of Arc and burns all infidels to the ground. There's no mediocrity in you either, Catherine, and I need you to know that. And also that I've been your biggest fan, even before we became acquainted on Facebook. Fuck Facebook. This is an older poem. Hey, Mike Rep 2. I wrote Mike Rep a poem, and he just blew it off, and I got offended. And then I asked him about it, and then he blocked me on Facebook. Then I wrote this. Hey, Mike Rep 2. I had forgotten just how fragile your ego was, and that you never learned to laugh at yourself. I'm not sorry for paying tribute to you, and I just wish you would learn how to take a compliment without allowing it to blow up your head, making the room only that much smaller to create in. When I came out to Harrisburg last August and witnessed so many people physically distancing themselves from you, it made me sad. But it also reminded me how instant karma is not only not user-friendly, it's also not willing to compromise when everything is on the line. We break the speed of sound when we are prepared for an onslaught from any direction. But when we put on the feedback, we oftentimes forget how a paunch even slowed down the Lizard King. People come at me with all their shiny artillery, believing I'm an easy target, when nothing could be further from the truth. And I haven't feared the Reaper since first hearing Blue Oyster Cult when I was just a pup. Both of our hair is gray. In fact, yours is white. But we still have enough fuel in our collective tiger tanks to take the fortress by nightfall, while the extinct paper tigers come back in force, enraged by the very fact they're counted out merely for their stripes. Michael, I've been a pariah to this or that person since before I can even remember. So don't sweat the small stuff. Michael, I've been a pariah to this or that person since before I can even remember. So don't sweat the small stuff, and instead focus on all of the empties in the many garbage cans strewn around your property, like soldiers who don't know how to take no for an answer. I wish I understood why you and Tommy fight so hard against the family dynamic I constantly tried to foster, and why you both still have such a difficult time with Jim's death. People say he committed suicide, while I look at it more, grief, grief, white sheep, white sheep. I've inherited nothing. I look at it more as him finally making up his mind. Game of sport, game of sport. Because it was the deciding that was torturing him. Like a hog being roasted on a stick with an apple in its whiskey priest mouth. Glasgow remnants of a sun, purged and wanton. Also for Cat. The writing is not advancing, but you still slip into my mind like a chauffeur who drives only in reverse while blindfolded. Naked in your screaming passivity, which has nothing whatsoever to do with passive aggression or the rigors of standing tall in such a small world. We stood beneath the waterfall. Oh wait, that wasn't you. But if it had been, I know the outcome wouldn't have been so dark or fraught with peril. My eyes are trained on you like a rifle scope that breeds contempt because it's the American way. Some will say that last line is a threat, which is complete and utter BS. Because as threats go, I'm not one to be so openly violent, even though the claw marks on my forehead tell a different story. I love this place I discover myself in, where only words course through my veins, and your muse, Catherine, visits with infinite possibilities. Your voice slices through my chain link desolation and whispers sweet nothings into ears I don't use nearly enough. This jigsaw puzzle escapism rallies around my dead soul as it attempts receiving a burned out star. I cupped your breasts in my dirty hands and would have apologized for my filth, but I was pretty certain you didn't mind my mechanic hands, as long as they were fruitful and multiplied. Writing exists over there, while I stand apart from my endless attempts to write the great American poem, or, at the very least, not shit the bed. Clothes only get in our way as we stop, drop, and listen to the whippoorwill suffering of another dead, drunk country singer. I oftentimes surprise myself when writing for you because you allow me to be Charlie and Cat. That is so freeing in these days of cloudburst patriotism. This poem was entitled I'm Double Vaccinated, but I just got my booster, so now it's going to be titled I'm Triple Vaccinated. Standing in the unvaccinated rain, wondering how people can be so fucking stupid. This is the same basket of deplorables who believe their right to own a gun trumps our right to live without having to worry about the next mass shooting. Something has to give, or we need to start pushing back, as another moderate Democrat eviscerates our republic because their stripes are stained with blood. The Democrats and Republicans are one and the same party, and if you don't believe me, then you too have become a part of the problem. If Bernie Sanders had actually gotten the nomination and become president, the powers that be would have snuffed him out, just like they did JFK. Because a murder most foul stinks to high heaven, no matter the God you pray to. We must resist the temptation to believe there's nothing that can be done, even if the end's in sight. There's still a beginning right around the next bend. Dancing in the acid rain like a fish on the hook or a bird on a wire. We've been here before, and this insanity will only continue to repeat itself until we throw back the level lever on stupidity and understand polarization only weakens our best poker hand. I'm starving from a lack of attention, and that's okay, because I never expected to be paid any mind when creativity is the only calling I answer to. Two more. I wrote this one for Jeff Rosen. Blind Willie McTell, take one. An inferno of lost chances. This poem's been rattling around my brain since I heard the blues rain down like a cavalcade of trumpet blasts. Bob either didn't deem it worthy to put on the album Infidels, or he just didn't feel he nailed it. Maybe he just wasn't feeling it that particular day in the studio. Excuse me. He's a journeyman, something our world is running out of, like fairy princesses and nomads who aren't holding a grudge. Blind Willie begins, and the organ holds me hostage, as I'm reminded just how deeply the blues flow through this hillbilly prophet. I've looked through the couch cushions, but sadly we're out of change. As resistance takes hold, while the anti-vaxxers hold a very real gun to our heads. The blues are not just a state of mind. They're an answered prayer, bleeding from the palms of an infinite number of martyred saints. We stack one made-up fact atop another as we play Jenga with the only lives we'll ever know on a first-name basis. When Robin Williams found his escape hatch, I knew Funny had exited the plane without a parachute. A singer who bent the notes with crackling charisma and desperado innuendos. That kind of John Ford realism no longer exists in this monochromatic world of beat-down hearts and unpaid bills. Bob's a road man. No matter if he ever hits the road again. Actually, he's going back on tour, and I'm going to see him soon, and very excited. When I walked into the office and saw the original Howlin' Wolf posters, I knew Bob was in good hands. This last poem is entitled, Freedom's Just Another Word for Nothing Left to Lose. It's for Janice and Chris. Did Adam and Eve come with an Did Adam and Eve come with an instruction manual? Think about it the next time you're eating ribs. Think about it the next time you're waist deep in your significant other's red box. I know how that sounds, and what you're now thinking. But please understand, I'm not only a poet on television, which means I'm always looking for a way out of this labyrinth of ticky-tacky little boxes. Burning as hot as a blue tip, as my incendiary thoughts gain entrance into your mind and redecorate the foyer with blood stamps and Wilhelm screams. I've exhausted all venues that could possibly result in bluebird happiness. Of course, I could be focusing too much on world events, or who the next permanent host of Jeopardy will be. Did Bonnie and Clyde have an exit strategy? Think about it the next time you're filling yourself up with high fructose corn syrup and 30 caliber bullets. Think about it the next time you find yourself on the hook for a crime you're almost certain you did not commit. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. That's what Chris wrote and Janice sang, as she showed all those Port Arthur fucks just how resilient she was, as an overdose became her silver lining. I saw Christofferson once in concert. I was front row and even handed him some of my poetry. I'm still waiting for him to call. Like I'm still waiting for a thief in the night to calm my wet market fears. I need to take some allergy medicine because I feel the nausea coming on. And once it takes hold, I'm no good to anyone, including myself. Thanks for listening. My name is Charles Cicirella. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. Actually, I'm in a suburb, Mayfield Heights. Thanks for listening, really.